Well, imagine being a retired blue-collar worker and having $12,000, much of your life savings, sucked out of your bank account by scam artists.
A local man doesn't have to imagine it. It did happen to him. He is trying to get his money back. Seth Kaplan's trying to help him.
I don't know how they did it.
Scott Ziders of High Spire.
My cell phone stopped working.
No calls, no texts on his Xfinity mobile phone.
So I got in my car. I drove over to Comcast.
This store in Lower Paxton Township.
And they fooled with it for a while. The guy got on with a specialist on the phone.
They put in a new SIM card.
I drove home, my phone was working. Next day I wake up, I see $12,000 wired out of my bank account at Wells Fargo.
Didn't realize right away what he says was the connection between the two incidents. He says someone logged into his Xfinity mobile account.
Somebody had your email address and your password. They were in.
Right.
And changed the SIM card number so his texts went to their phone. Then he says they logged into his Wells Fargo account to do a $12,000 wire transfer. Wells Fargo sent a code to his phone. That's called multi-factor authentication. But he says that really went to the scammer's phone.
Numeric codes they sent to my phone, that was intercepted because they had control of my phone. They sent that wire just like that.
He says Wells Fargo tried but couldn't get the money back and said that meant he couldn't get it back. One last hope. $15,000 of identity theft protection in his farmer's insurance policy.
They've already sent me a letter that they weren't going to pay the claim.
He says they later agreed to pay him $250. Farmers tells us, quote, after a thorough review of the facts of this loss, we have issued payment to our customer for the portion of their claim that is covered by their policy. But what about what Scott Ziders considers the security breach or breaches at the cell phone company and bank? Let's start with the phone.
Why do they let somebody change a SIM online? I mean, you change a SIM, you got control of someone's phone.
Jonathan Weissman, principal lecturer in the Rochester Institute of Technology Cybersecurity Department.
For a major configuration change, like a SIM card, there's got to be multiple layers of protection to verify that the account user is the legitimate account user.
Comcast tells us, quote, our teams are investigating and we've reached out to Mr. Ziders to discuss this matter as well as safety measures to protect his account from bad actors. Now he has two-step authentication on that account.
And then it sends a code to my phone.
All of us should on all of our accounts. As for the bank, which did have that extra step but didn't stop a transaction Scott Ziders says should have raised obvious red flags.
For something of this magnitude, a human should have called and verified, because this clearly was anomalous behavior.
Wells Fargo tells us, quote, we are continuing to work with the customer on this issue. We conduct a thorough review. In some instances, such as this specific claim, additional information may be required for us to complete our investigation. Scott Ziders says Wells Fargo is trying to organize a three-way conversation with him and Comcast. He's also trying to get help through Pennsylvania's Victims Compensation Fund, which helps people who are 60 and older, hoping one way or another to recover his money and his faith in the system. In Harrisburg, Seth Kaplan, ABC 27 News.